great attention to all the presentations, but that's not what we mean when we talk about measuring productivity for the economy. So when we talk about productivity, it's a measure of how efficiently we're taking a bunch of inputs and then transforming those inputs into a variety of different outputs. That's what we mean by productivity. So if we think about what makes productivity go up, if you have one person that can produce 2 kites in an hour, if you have 2 people, how many kites in an hour can they produce? Anybody? How many?
Hopefully
4, right? Good answer. So 4. Are they more productive though? No, they're not, because it's the same. You've added another person and they've just made the same number of kites. But what if we have these 2 people and now suddenly they can produce 6 kites in an hour? Are they more productive? All right, well that's what we've got. That's basically labor productivity increasing right there, okay? Labor productivity is just an amount of output divided by some measure of input such as labor hours. And the more the output goes up relative to labor input, we've got increase in productivity. Okay? Now what's interesting is try to think about what causes productivity to increase, right? And so your boss thinks that you should be working harder and smarter and faster, and that's how we're going to make our labor productivity grow up. But that's not the only way that you can make labor productivity increase. We can also do it by bringing in different capital goods. So for example, we could bring in a big crane to help out on this job, reduce our labor hours, and that's going to also increase labor productivity because our hours are going up without a corresponding increase in labor hours. So productivity is not just an intuitive working harder type thing. There are other ways we can make labor productivity go up. So the reason we're so excited about productivity and why we talk about it being such an important part of economic growth is over time, differences in productivity, even small differences in the growth of productivity, can really make a huge difference in the type of economic growth we get and in the standard of living that we're going to have. So if you think about a baby born today, as they move through life, they get a job, they get the middle-age punch and all that, the difference in productivity growth rates over time is going to accumulate. You've got sort of this compound interest thing going on. So 5% growth rate in productivity means that we're going to be 7 times as productive 40 years down the road. If it's a 0.5% growth in productivity, we have almost no change at all. And that's going to have a huge impact on our standard of living, because if we have 5% growth, we can produce all this additional output with very little increase in labor input. So very important. Productivity is also very important as an economic indicator. I know our previous panel talked a lot about leading indicators and all that, but productivity is very closely watched in order to kind of get an idea of where the economy is going. So the Fed will be looking at it. I imagine a lot of you will be looking at it now, I hope, to get some indication of sort of where we're headed with the economy. It's also used for a long-term trend to get an idea of what type of economic growth potential we might have. Bob's going to talk about that next and how they use longer-term productivity growth trends when they're making forecasts for congressional budget office. So very important indicator. All right, so let's break down the pieces. We have obviously an output measure that we have to get first. And output is just basically all the stuff that we produce in the economy. It includes both goods and services. The services are increasingly important. They take up a larger part of the economy, and so it's really important that we are able to measure the output for services very well. So it's not just going into the factory and counting stuff up. We have to make sure that we're counting all of our services as well. I'll give you just a brief blueprint of one way that we calculate productivity for a number of industries. We start off and we'll take the industry revenue of either various product lines or of an industry. Those will be